If you've been following maritime news lately, you might have noticed something. It's not just about ships and ports anymore. What we're actually seeing is a fundamental redrawing of the entire global trade map, and it is happening right now, right in front of us. So you gotta ask, are the world's trade routes really being redrawn? And the answer seems to be, yeah, absolutely. From Washington to Abu Dhabi, all the way to New Delhi, major world powers are making these huge moves, and they're creating new choke points, new opportunities, and honestly, a whole new set of rules for how stuff gets from A to B. To really get a handle on this massive shift, we're going to break it down. We're looking at three distinct but totally connected currents that are shaping this new reality. Think of them as these powerful forces that are pulling the tides of global commerce in brand new directions. Okay, first up, the big one. You guessed it, the ongoing economic tension between the US and China. This constant push and pull between the world's two largest economies, well, it's sending ripples across every single major shipping lane on the planet. And what's so fascinating here is the complete difference in their approaches. So the US recently hit the pause button, suspending these special port fees on Chinese ships for a year. You could call it an olive branch, right? But Beijing, nope. They're holding the line, keeping their own fees on American carriers firmly in place. And believe me, this isn't just dry policy talk. It has very real, very expensive consequences. $6 million. That's how much just one carrier, Matson, has already shelled out in those Chinese port fees since October. This is what you call policy whiplash, and it creates this huge volatility for anyone trying to plan routes and costs. And that's really the perfect way to describe it, a short-term thaw. Because while the US move offers a little breathing room, it doesn't solve the underlying problem. That friction is still there. Which means carriers and businesses are constantly having to rethink and recalibrate their entire Trans-Pacific strategy. All right, let's ride this wave to our second current, shifting our focus over to the Middle East. Because over there, the United Arab Emirates is making an absolutely massive play to dominate the future of maritime energy. $8 billion. That's the number you really need to remember here. That's the staggering investment from Abu Dhabi's AD Ports Group and Nemex Terminals. And what are they doing with it? They're turning Khalifa Port into a next-generation energy superhub. This is a huge signal that they are looking way beyond oil. And this isn't just about building a few new terminals for things like LNG and LPG. No, this is a multi-layered strategy. They're positioning themselves to be the clean energy leader for the entire Indian Ocean region. They're opening up new trade access into East Africa, and they're wrapping this whole thing in a high-tech, cutting-edge logistics system. It's the whole shebang. So what is all this for? It's to create what's called a dual-fuel superhub. And that's the key concept behind that $8 billion bet. It's not just about servicing the ships we have today. It's designed from the ground up to service the ships of tomorrow, making the UAE a totally indispensable stop in the cleaner, greener supply chains of the future. And that brings us perfectly to our third and final current, the rise of a new, really assertive player on the world stage. We're talking about India, which is making a very bold play for its own logistics sovereignty and maritime independence. So, I want you to meet the Bharat Container Shipping Line. See, India isn't just talking about being a maritime power. It is literally putting steel in the water. This new national shipping company is launching with an incredible fleet of 51 vessels right from day one. And just look at the timeline, the sheer speed of this. They launched this year in 2025, and the plan is to double that fleet to over 100 ships by 2026. This is not a slow burn, folks. This is an acceleration. India is asserting its independence on the high seas, and it is doing it fast. And the strategic impact? We're already seeing it. India's new line is sailing on major global routes. You've got giants like Maersk and CMA CGM suddenly investing in Indian shipyards. And maybe, most importantly, some routes are already shifting toward Indian ports, which are being set up as a serious alternative to China's long-standing dominance. Okay, so we've looked at three really powerful currents, right? A tense US-China relationship, a future-focused UAE, and a super ambitious India. Now, let's pull it all together. Let's try to read the tides and see what this new map of global trade actually looks like. So, if we boil it all down, here's the takeaway. For the US and China, you've got this temporary cooling off, but the fundamental rivalry, that's not going anywhere. For the UAE, it is a clear, decisive pivot away from an oil-based past and toward a clean energy future. And for India, the signal could not be any clearer. This is a strategic push for maritime independence. But here's the final and, to me, the most fascinating piece of this puzzle. With all this geopolitical maneuvering and all this strategic competition, what's actually happening to trade itself? Well, it's growing. Projections show global container volume is set to rise 4% this year. It's an incredible sign that the market is surprisingly resilient and is already adapting to this new landscape. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. The old map is gone. We have new powers making these incredibly bold moves. And we have new fuels that are going to power the ships of the future. The whole board is being reset. So the question now is, in this new world, who is best positioned to rule the next tide of global trade?